Yo, hoop fans! Your sideline sage, Tips and Streams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads.
The first today's prediction is for the matchup between Portland Trailblazers and Cleveland Cavaliers. The Trailblazers, currently dribbling through a rough patch with a 5-12 record, are gearing up to clash with the Cavaliers, who are standing taller at 10-8. This showdown is shaping up to be a slam dunk of excitement, considering the stark contrast in both squads' playbooks and stats. Diving into the stat sheets, the Cavs are schooling the Blazers in offensive playmaking. They're racking up an average score of 110.76, overshadowing Portland's 104.82. Their shooting game is on point with a field goal average of 47.49%, outshining Portland's 43.44%. They're also nailing it from downtown, boasting a three-pointer average of 35% against Portland's 33.45%. The rebounding game is where Cleveland's really dominating, snagging an average of 44.24 boards compared to Portland's 40.71, a key playmaker in tonight's game plan. In their recent head-to-heads, the Cavaliers have been running the court with 5 straight wins, while Portland's been left searching for a W. Cleveland's recent victories, including notable wins against teams like the Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors, showcase their solid game rhythm. Portland, in contrast, is struggling to find their groove, taking tough losses from powerhouses like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. Looking at their recent matchups, the last 10 games see Cleveland leading with a 6-4 scorecard over Portland. This includes their latest face-off on November 15, 2023, where Cleveland clinched a solid 109-95 win. Their shooting efficiency has been a major factor in these games and will be pivotal in tonight's matchup. Injuries are also shaking up the team rosters. Portland's bench is missing key players like Robert Williams, Anthony Simmons, and Ish Wainwright. Cleveland's lineup is without Ricky Rubio, and there's uncertainty around Ty Jerome and Dean Wade's participation. These gaps, especially on Portland's side, could really shift the game's dynamics. The play-by-play analysis points to a Cavs win, given their sharper stats in scoring and rebounding, coupled with their recent dominance over Portland and the Blazers' injury struggles. However, Portland has been upping their game since Brogdon's comeback, and a 12-point spread seems a bit of a long shot. That's why my bet's on the Trailblazers to beat the odds and cover that spread. The next prediction is for the match between Charlotte Hornets and Brooklyn Nets. As the Charlotte Hornets gear up to take on the Brooklyn Nets at the Barclays Center, the court's set for a high-flying showdown. The Nets, surfing on a 3-game winning streak, are pegged as the 8-point front-runners, reflecting solid confidence in their recent slam dunk performances and home court stronghold. Scouting the stat sheets, Brooklyn's game this season is all about sharp shooting and ruling the rebounds. Dropping an average of 115.3 points per game, the Nets are tearing up the court, ranking 11th in the league. Their defense, though not a steel wall, holds its ground, conceding 113.9 points per game. But where Brooklyn really dominates is in snagging rebounds. Topping the league with 47.4 boards per game, they're the kings of the glass. Their game from beyond the arc is pure fire, netting 38.9% in three-pointers, landing them third in the league. On the flip side, the Hornets are in a bit of a scramble, with an average score of 112.7 points, but giving up a worrisome 121.8 points. They're on shaky defense. Their rebound game at 44.8 per game doesn't quite stack up to Brooklyn's. And their three-point game? It's been off the mark, ranking 26th in the league. Looking at the scoreboard history, the Nets have been owning this matchup, with the Hornets trailing on a 5-game losing streak against them. This, mixed with Charlotte's rough ride this season, especially in away games, looks like this pattern might continue. Checking the injury list, the scales lean even more towards Brooklyn. The Hornets are missing key players like LaMelo Ball and Nick Richards, hitting hard on their playmaking and inside game. The Nets, even without Ben Simmons, seem better suited to roll with the punches. The betting line tells its own story. The Nets have been outmaneuvering the spread all season, while the Hornets have been fumbling. With the over-under set at 227, Brooklyn's offensive dynamite and Charlotte's defensive cracks point to a scoreboard blitz. Wrapping it up after breaking down the stats, team momentum, past face-offs, and injury updates, it looks like the Brooklyn Nets are not just set to win, but also to beat the minus 8-point spread. Their superior rebounding, fiery three-pointers, and the Hornets' defensive struggles lay down a clear game plan for victory. I'm placing my bets on the Brooklyn Nets to swoop in for the win and cover the spread. The next prediction is for the match between Indiana Pacers and Miami Heat. The Pacers are dribbling into this showdown with a solid 9-7 scoreboard, flexing their skills by bagging 6 wins in their last 10 showdowns. They're rolling under the lead of Tyrese Halliburton, the league's assist king, and Miles Turner, swatting shots left and right, ranked second in the East for blocks. Their offensive game is fire, topping the charts in points per game, but their D game needs tightening up, lagging at 30th for points allowed. On the flip side, the Miami Heat, clocking in at 10-8, seem to be losing their steam, dropping 4 out of their last 6. Their defense is slipping on blocks, 29th in the league, but they're clamping down on points allowed in the second quarter. Bam Adebayo and Kyle Lowry are the Heat's aces, but missing shots from Jimmy Butler and Haywood Highsmith might throw off their rhythm. Head-to-head, it's a neck-and-neck race in the last 10 matchups, each team clinching 5 wins. Recent face-offs hint at a nail-biter with scores running tight. The Pacers' scoring Heat and the Heat's quarter-specific D set up an epic clash. In the betting circles, the Heat's riding a minus 2.5 favoritism with an over-under at a lofty 239.5, signaling a score fest. The Pacers' scoring chops are on full display, but their shaky defense might get picked apart by the Heat, especially on their turf. Wrapping it up, I'm siding with the Pacers to beat the spread in this tight clash, considering their offensive blitz and the Heat's recent slips. The Heat pack a punch at home with their defensive grit, but the Pacers' scoring might just tip the scales. My bet is on the Indiana Pacers, adding 2 to their score. The next prediction is for the match between Detroit Pistons and New York Knicks. The Knicks are balling hard with a solid 10-7 record, flexing their skills on both ends of the court. Mitchell Robinson is snagging boards like a beast, and Jalen Brunson's 46.9% from downtown is straight fire. They're also crushing it on D, leading the league in locking down their opponents to just 105.1 points a game. Their only weak spot, they're averaging a league-low 2.9 blocks per game. The Pistons, though, are in a real slump, sitting at a rough 216. They're bottom of the barrel in trays and turning over the rock, ranking dead last in both. Their scoring's not much better, averaging 109.6 points, 27th in the league, and they're leaking points on defense, giving up 117.7 a game. The real deal is how the Pistons play at Madison Square Garden. They've been taking L's there for their last 7 games, losing by an average of 11 points. It's like they just can't find their groove in New York. Plus, the Pistons are facing the Knicks in a back-to-back game situation, which might leave them gassed, and that's a tough spot against a Knicks squad that's had more time to chill and strategize. Breaking down the stats, field goal percentages, three-point shots, board battles, the Knicks have the upper hand, especially on their home turf. They're poised to dominate with their tight D and efficient scoring against a struggling Pistons team. Bottom line, with their current mojo stats and history at the Garden, the Knicks are looking good to take this one and beat the 13-point spread. The Pistons' struggles, especially in New York, make it a safe bet, and I will put my money on the Knicks. The next prediction is for the match between Milwaukee Bucks and Chicago Bulls. Diving into the hoop scene, the Milwaukee Bucks are dominating with a solid 13-5 record, making the Chicago Bulls 5-14 look pale in comparison. Milwaukee's scoring game is on point, averaging a lofty 120. 35 points, overshadowing Chicago's 106.67. The Bucks are nailing nearly half their shots with a 48.93% field goal rate and are sharpshooters from beyond the arc at 37.36%, leaving the Bulls 35.06% in the dust. Milwaukee's been crushing it lately with 8 wins in their last 9 games, thanks in part to Giannis Antetokounmpo's scoring sprees. They boast an impressive offensive rating of 115.4 and a solid defensive stance at 111.9. The Bulls, though lagging with a 5-14 record, are showing some spark. They're not far behind the Bucks with an offensive rating of 113.5 and a defensive rating of 112.2. Their three-point game is decent at 36.1%, and they're pulling down an average of 42.4 rebounds per game. Interestingly, they've shown some grit, especially at home, winning 4 of their last 5, as the underdog following a loss. The betting scene has been steady, with the Bucks leading the charge with an 8 spread and an over-under nudged up to 227.5 from 225. 5, hinting at a high-scoring showdown, likely thanks to Milwaukee's firepower. However, the Bulls have been holding their ground, especially against Eastern Conference rivals, and their home court advantage could be key in beating the spread. While the Bucks are formidable, they've been less consistent in covering the spread on the road. Wrapping it all up, the stats, recent plays, and betting trends point towards a Bucks win, but the Bulls have what it takes to beat the 8-point spread in their Chicago den. Their underdog tenacity and comparable stats to the Bucks make them a solid bet to keep the game tighter than expected. My bet's on the Bulls with the points. The next prediction is for the match between Utah Jazz and Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, rocking a solid 13-4 record, are gearing up to host the Jazz at their den. The Jazz are struggling this season, showing up with a 6-12 record. The Timberwolves are hitting the court as heavy -10 favorites, signaling the bookies see them as the clear top dogs. Looking at their recent game, the Timberwolves are packing some serious heat, especially on their home turf. They're nailing it with a field goal percentage of 48.44% and shooting from downtown at 37.09%. Leaving the Jazz in the dust in these key shooting areas. Their hustle for the boards is also on point, grabbing an average of 36.0 defensive rebounds, overshadowing the Jazz's 32.41. The player stats are also leaning heavily in Minnesota's favor. Karl Anthony Towns is forecasted to drop a cool 20 points, grab 9 boards, and dish out 5 assists, leading the Timberwolves' charge. Together with Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert, they're a formidable force on both ends of the court. The Jazz, on the other hand, might have Jordan Clarkson scoring 20 points, but they're missing some muscle, especially with Lauri Markkanen sitting out due to a hamstring issue. A look back at their last 10 faceoffs shows a split decision, each team holding a 5-5 record. Yet, the Timberwolves have had the upper hand in shooting, averaging 48.22% in field goals against the Jazz's 46.22%. Their home games at the Target Center have been showcases of their dominance, with big wins and sharper shooting. Injury updates add another twist. The Timberwolves have a couple of key players like Jordan McLaughlin and Anthony Edwards tagged as questionable. This could shake things up a bit, but they seem to have enough depth to brush off these concerns. All in all, with their sharp shooting and solid defense on rebounds, plus their historical edge in home games, the Timberwolves look set to not just win, but also beat the -10-point spread. Despite a few injuries, their lineup looks tough enough to tackle whatever the Jazz throw at them. My bet is on the Minnesota Timberwolves to take the win and cover the spread. The next prediction is for the match between Los Angeles Lakers and Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers, hooping with a 10-8 sheet, just got schooled by the Philly 76ers in a tough 138-94 beatdown, LeBron's heaviest L in the league. They're lagging with a 25th place in scoring hustle and 28th in downtown shots, a real head-scratcher against the Thunder's tight D. But the Lakers got game against OKC, posting a 4-1 record straight up and against the spread in their recent showdowns, gunning for a third back-to-back win. OKC, chilling at 11-6, is aiming to bounce back from a 2-loss slide following a sweet 6-game winning streak, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropping 30.5 points, 6.1 dimes, and 6 boards a game. They are flexing as the 7th most lit offense in the NBA. Their shot game is 3rd in the Liga, and their D is just as tight, ranking 7th. They're a tough squad, especially on their turf, winning 8 of their last 9 with extra rest. The Lakers are in a tough spot, balling back-to-back without any rest, which could mess with their game, considering the grind and road weariness. OKC, rested and ready, is solid at beating the spread in these setups. Plus, the Lakers are banged up, which could swing things OKC's way. Stats-wise, OKC's got the upper hand in trays, shooting 40.22% against the Lakers, 33.71%, and in free throws at 85.35% to the Lakers' 76.19%. Though the Lakers edge out in boards, OKC's home court and scoring efficiency, hitting 118.59 points per 100 plays compared to the Lakers' 111.83, puts them in a strong spot. Both crews are neck and neck in turnovers and steals, so it's going to be a tight game. All things considered, I'm betting on the Oklahoma City Thunder to take this one. They've got the upper hand with their three-point game, home court, extra rest, and the Lakers' potential burnout from the back-to-back games. Plus, OKC's solid D will likely jam up the Lakers' struggling offense. I'm rolling with the Oklahoma City Thunder to win and beat the minus 6-point spread. The next prediction is for the match between the Atlanta Hawks and San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs are grinding through a tough season, showing a scoreboard of 3-14. They're gearing up to defend their turf at the Frostbank Center, hoping the home hardwood gives them an edge. When you break down the play-by-play, the Atlanta Hawks are shooting the lights out, boasting an impressive average score of 123.56, leaving the Spurs trailing with 110.47. The Hawks are nailing buckets with a slick 48.03% from the field, edging out the Spurs 45.48%. From downtown, the Hawks are also more on point, hitting 37.31% of their trays, compared to the Spurs' 34.03%. These digits are game changers, as teams dropping buckets like that usually run the show. The face-offs between these squads are always a nail-biter, standing at a dead heat with a 5-5 split in their last 10 showdowns. They're pretty much neck and neck in scoring, with the Hawks racking up an average of 118. 0 points per game, just a step ahead of the Spurs' 117.60. Rebounds are where games are won or lost, and the Hawks are bossing the boards with an average of 44.90 rebounds a game. This is key to dictating the game's rhythm and snagging those crucial second chance points. From beyond the arc, both teams have sunk 120 triples recently, but the Spurs have been more trigger-happy, launching 326 attempts to the Hawks' 320, showing they're betting big on their perimeter game. Defensively, it's a tight race too, with the Hawks averaging 8.50 steals a game, just a whisker ahead of the Spurs' 8.20, indicating both teams bring the heat on D. Recent matchups give us a sneak peek too. In their last clash on March 19th, 2023, the Spurs clinched it at home with a 126-118 victory, outshooting the Hawks with a fiery 54.30% from the field. But rewind to February 11th, 2023, and the Hawks flipped the script with a 125-106 win, showcasing their road game prowess by outshooting the Spurs. So the smart money can be on the Atlanta Hawks because of their high-octane offense and not awful defense. The Spurs might have home court, but the Hawks' steady scoring and sharpshooting make them the front runners. The recent matchups in San Antonio have been too close to call, setting us up for a real barn burner. The bottom line, back the Hawks for their scoring swagger and sharpshooting, which should see them past the Spurs. But if you're betting, the Spurs could well beat the plus 8-point spread. My money goes on the San Antonio Spurs plus 8. The last prediction for today is for the match between Los Angeles Clippers and Golden State Warriors. In the world of hoops, the Clippers step onto the court carrying an 8-9 record, pegged as the 4.5-point underdogs in their clash against the Warriors, who have a slightly slimmer record of 8-10. The bar is set high for this showdown, with a total points line of 227.5. Diving into their performance against the spread, the Warriors have managed to clinch only 2 victories against 5 losses when playing as favorites by at least 4.5 points. On the flip side, the Clippers have shown their mettle in the singular game they played as underdogs by the same margin, coming out on top. The combined scoring prowess of both teams tends to hover just above the anticipated over-under line. Statistically speaking, the Warriors are posting an average of 114.7 points per game, which puts them in the 12th spot across the league, but they're also letting in 114.6 points, landing them 20th in the NBA ranks. They're rebounding giants, securing the 4th spot with an impressive 46.7 rebounds per game, and their prowess in sinking three-pointers is evident as they hold the 6th rank with 14.6 per game. The Clippers, on their end, are notching up an average of 112, 9 points per game, placing them 19th in the league, and they've built a fortress of defense, conceding only 108.9 points per game, which ranks them 6th in the NBA. They're also holding their ground in the rebounding department with 44.8 per game, placing 12th, and are 20th in three-pointers, averaging 11.7 per game. Players who are sure to catch the eye include Steph Curry from the Warriors, who's draining an average of 29.7 points and dishing out 4.1 assists per game, and Paul George from the Clippers, who are consistently delivering with an average of 23.9 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 3.8 assists per game. When it comes to their recent matchups in Los Angeles, the Clippers have shown a mix of fortunes against the Warriors. In their last 5 home games against this rival, they've pocketed 3 wins while conceding 2. The injury report casts a spotlight on significant absences in both squads. The Warriors will be hitting the floor without the likes of Gary Payton II, Chris Paul, and Usman Garuba, while the Clippers are taking a hit with Brandon Boston Jr. and Mason Plumlee sidelined. Considering the stats, the history of their head-to-head matchups, and the current injury landscape, I'm leaning towards a prediction of a hard-fought battle with the Warriors, likely to edge out a victory. Their advantage seems to stem from their superior rebounding skills and the boost of playing on their home turf. However, the Clippers are my pick to beat the 5-point spread.
All right, basketball fans, that's the final horn for today's forecasts. A huge thank you for joining our team. If you're in tune with our selections, hit that subscribe button and become part of our squad. See you on the hardwood tomorrow. Farewell.